here with Xander Berkeley. You may know him from 24, Mommy Dearest, Terminator 2, and of course, The Walking Dead, filmed right here in Georgia. So you are such an accomplished actor, but who knew you were an accomplished artist as well?
Well, I guess a few people sort of knew along the way, but I did keep it kind of to myself. I have always. My father was a great painter and an artist who had to set it somewhat to the side in order to make a living to support the family, and he gave us art supplies and stuff from early on and engendered the family tradition. But I also had from very early on a love of acting, not so much the performance side of it, but I loved the idea of costume. I did a series of paintings in high school that got selected for this big thing where they were all up displayed, and they were all stolen. And
really?
Yes, and it was traumatic, where on some level I suppose it was an affirmation that someone liked them enough to want them. This was something I did when I was doing Nikita in Toronto. My Semitic Jesus, because it always bugged me that Jesus was so white and blue-eyed looking, and you know, he was of the tribe, and so I wanted to give him a good solid nose and features that you would expect to see.
All right, so tell us about this painting here.
Stephen Ogg plays Simon on The Walking Dead. He's got this great sculptural face, so that's interesting to draw out. And he's got this, his hair is fantastic. It starts back here, but then there's a lot of it that goes up. So it's very like expressionistic. Yeah. And I like the German expressionists as a group of painters, and so it's sort of fun.
Who are some of your influences?
All of the German expressionists, almost without exception, even the cartoony, sort of comic stylings of some like Georges Grosz and Otto Dix, and the strong lines and the bold lines of expressionism, a little bit more than the soft, touchy-feely impressionists. But figurative work, because I'm a storyteller and I'm fascinated with human beings and with faces and with the currents of emotions that flow through them and that change constantly. This is one of my daughter who I was FaceTiming with, and I was so not used to that look of boredom on her face. I did a quick drawing of a young woman that was in the cafe downstairs, and she just had this very troubled look in her eyes. And she was looking out the window, all the way across the room. She didn't know I was drawing. Most of my victims don't. So my companion on location, always a drawing pad. You can see the perforation. This is kind of a classic German expressionist style, but this kid was involved with the book festival in Edinburgh. A classic archetypal, bright, intellectual. This is definitely from an artist's cafe in Bulgaria. It's a classic Bulgarian poet, artist of the encyclopedist tradition. This guy was a cranky intellectual. And the fact that the paper got a crease, I love collaborating with the law of accident, because it's like working with nature and nature's forces. A lot of the paper that I mounted this on was from my father's studio, this really old paper that he had in a notebook. So that feels like affection and texture and time. This is me as a character on location, turning myself into the character by looking into a window I'm reflected in, so I can find the midway point between me and the character. This is a friend I lost, who I had this old drawing of him when we were neighbors, and he was always a dreamer. Against all odds, he ended up drowning in the ocean. And he'll always be this beautiful dreamer to me. Dear Jeffrey Blake, he sent me this picture, popped up in a text on my phone saying, "I just had quadruple bypass surgery. I've never felt better in my life." And I'd never seen him with that kind of open smile and freedom in his face. That's it for me.